This is a tutorial on customizing the drum machine designer in Logic Pro. I'll be working with drum synths, Logic samples and external samples, and I'll also dive into some useful tricks with the step sequencer. First of all, I want to set the right tempo for my beat. I've already loaded a drum machine designer from the library and chosen empty kit. To open the drum machine designer, simply click here in the middle of the instrument pane. I'm focusing on instrument 1, which is connected to the inspector and also the library showing all the kick drums available. Let's select drum synth for the kick drum by clicking on the instrument pane of instrument 1. Next, add a rim shot by selecting the next pane in the drum machine designer. Logic's library will update to show you the rim shot samples available. Simply click on them to audition the sounds. For the snare drum, it's back to the drum synth. Though it defaults to heavy kick, the drum menu has much more to offer, like snares, claps, hi-hats, cymbals and various percussion. Select snares and claps from the sub-menu. Click on the snare menu to reveal more snares and claps. I'm now loading another drum synth and choosing human clap from the menu. Finally, I'll bring in some hi-hat samples from an external hard disk by opening the browser area and navigating to the folder. Now for the open hi-hat. Now that the drum machine designer is set up, let's start programming the beat in the step sequencer. We'll start with a kick on beat 1. This will be followed by a snare on beat 2 and beat 4. Now that we have a basic beat, we can add some hi-hats as eighth notes across the sequence. Once we have the basic beat, we can start experimenting with kick drums. I'm now doubling the bar length to give 32 steps, which is 2 bars. Again, I am experimenting with bass drums and also adding some interest on the hi-hats. I now want to experiment with velocities on the hi-hat to create some more interest and make them less rigid. To do this, I am opening up the disclosure triangle on the hi-hat track, and as you can see, there are various options you can use here, such as pitch and velocity. Changing the pitch of the hi-hats can also create some more interest. I'm also experimenting here with the note repeat function to create triplets on the hi-hats. I'm now doubling up the bar length to 64 steps, which is 4 bars. I'll do some further experimentation with hi-hats and then some final velocity adjustments. Now to add a fill at the end of the 4 bars. Now over to the local inspector to adjust the swing on the pattern. I'm choosing a 16th note swing and setting it to 60%, which will give the beat a little more bounce. Next, to add some more interest to the beats, I'm going to add some rim shots in bar 1 and then loop them throughout the sequence. As you can see in the drop-down menu, there are many other parameters to explore. In this situation, I'm choosing loop. A highlight appears around the track and you just drag the loop back to the desired position. To give a little more variation, I'm going back into the drop-down menu to choose chance. This will randomize the rim shots so they're not so repetitive. Now I'm happy with my beat, I want to add some reverb to my snare drum and rim shot. To do this, I'm going to open up the track stack in the main window, select the snare track and turn up the bus send for the reverb. I'll then repeat the same process for the rim shot. When loading an empty drum machine designer, it automatically gives you a reverb and delay by default. Click on the bus send and drag upwards to turn it up. You can experiment further in the step sequencer by doing things like reversing the beat, using the ping pong function to make it go backwards and forwards, or randomizing. Selecting row enables you to do this on individual lanes. In this situation, I'm going to reverse the hi-hat. It is possible to turn this sequence or any MIDI or audio into an Apple loop. Simply open the loops browser and drag the sequence into it and let go. You can name your loop, then give it various conditions. In this situation, there's no scale and no key. The genre I'm choosing is hip hop. We can then give further descriptors, for instance, relaxed and grooving. Then I'm choosing in the menu all drums, beats, and then create. In the sound packs menu, choose my loops and then scroll down to find your loop. Once you have found it, just drag and drop it into the main window. As you can hear, it's kept all the settings and the reverbs